Hello Internet, Matt here from Forensics with Matt, and in today's video I'm going to be going over an introduction of the Wireshark network analysis software. So in this introduction I'm going to go over how to get it, then how to install it on Mac, and if I have time after I do the Mac portion, I'll also do it on a virtual machine in Windows and show you differences between Mac and Windows. As well during the Mac part, I'm going to go over a little bit of how to use it and some of the stuff that you'll encounter in the software. So with that being said, let's get into this. But before that, let's go over my Substack blog. So as you can see up here at matthewplacencia.substack.com, I have my Forensics with Matt blog, and on this Forensics with Matt blog, I do the written portions of each video that I make. So for instance, this Wireshark corresponds to this Wireshark one right here, and I have a bunch of other ones that are for my videos as well as for other topics that I find interesting. So if you're interested in forensics and want to subscribe to a newsletter and blog that has a lot of forensic stuff on it and whose repertoire is growing by the day, go ahead and subscribe to Forensics with Matt to keep up with all of the interesting forensic stuff that I'm doing. And with that being said, let's move straight onto the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the video. So we're in Wireshark now on the Mac, and there's some key things that I want to share with you for this first screen. So we have the ability to open other files. So at least in my case right here, I have only this file right here, cap3.pcap, which has been opened, and that's found on the system. But I used to have these other capture files on my system, but I deleted them. So that's what you'll see if you delete or move a file to somewhere else. And as we go down on the screen, we'll see the capture interfaces, which are places where you can capture from. So for instance, if you have two networks plugged into your computer, if there's two networks plugged into your computer, like say a Wi-Fi, two Wi-Fis, or two Ethernet ports that are connected, you'll get them in here, and as well as other stuff. So for instance, if you can connect things and get networked through your USB ports, so for instance, I have Thunderbolt 1, 2, and 3 port on my MacBook Pro. So if you can connect network devices through that, or you have more other adapters like tunnels or other things, you can get data through there too. But for me, for now, all that I have is the Wi-Fi Ethernet 0, which it's called, or EN0. So I'd click that. But one thing that you can also do here is later on I'll teach you more about filters. So you could use filters directly through the capture in order to take out all the traffic except what you want to see. And you can also pare down the traffic that you get by taking out interfaces such as wired and external capture interfaces, which in my case only leaves me with my Wi-Fi card. So when I click that, I'll be able to see all the packets coming in. And I'll let it capture for a little bit to see what's going on. And I will open open Wireshark on my web browser to see what it does. Okay, well that should be enough if I just go to Wireshark in the browser and let it load up. Let it load up fully. So yeah, as you can see here, I see a device with Arcadian, and that right there, that device with Arcadian in its name is the gateway that I'm using to connect to the internet. But anyway, so you can see that there's a bunch of traffic here, and this is the basic gist of what you would get if you did it on yours. You'd get different packets still, and you'd most likely, 100% likely, have a different router than mine, and maybe even with a different brand than mine. So some people might have TP-Link or other ones. TP-Link or Cisco or something like that. Just, yeah. So, and you can see in Wireshark here my defaults right here. The columns that you can see for each packet here in this main panel right here, which is all the packets that you're going to get. You have the number of the packet, the time that it was that it came out, and this time is from the time that it started. So that's 57.12 whatever seconds. And the source address, which can either be an IPv6, IPv6 or IPv4 address, as well as like what you saw with my Arcadian gateway, or a MAC address. And the destination can also be the same thing. And you have you can have a bunch of different protocols as well, like TLS, TLSV 1.2, 1.3, DNS, and all of those other ones that you'll see if you take a look. And then it has a little bit of information here on this info column right here. But where you could find more info is here in this hex view. And you'll be able to see more about hex view in my video about hex editors as well. You can see everything, all of the information of packets from this information panel over here to the left side. And most of these packets only show TCP protocol or TLSV 1.3 protocol. And with those are secured, and they have a certain type of encoding to them that doesn't allow us to read them. You see it's an HTTP packet, but it doesn't show us anything. Or rather, some of these can be HTTP packets, but they don't show us anything. So if you really want to see that type of information, we're going to have to go to open. We're going to have to open these and open this cap3.pcap that I shared, that I alluded to in the beginning of the video. And so when we open that, We won't save this one because there's no need to. We see TCP, HTTP, an HTTP continuation packet right here. And you'll see a lot of HTTP packets in this one because this site was insecured. The site that was originally used for this, which is chickpea.glitch.me, was insecured. So we're able to get all the information and code out of this. So we'll see all of the information about it. So it goes through all the protocols that are in the packet, as well as everything from layer 1 to layer 5, or to layer 7, of the OSI model. And layer 1, the raw physical layer of the packet. You'll see this right here, that's what that is. And layer 2, the data link layer right here. It just so happens that this data link layer is an Ethernet 2. And it shows the source and destination hardware addresses of this. And it's IPv4, and then this Internet Protocol version 4 is layer 3, or the network layer, and it shows the network card in the computer, its IP address as the source, and the destination is the server wherever outside of the computer it is. As well, layer 4, the transport layer, which is transmission control protocol, or TCP. And you can also have a UDP packet, but this one just so happens to be TCP, and it shows all of this information about the TCP stuff, as well as TCP flags and timestamps that it came out of, as well as the sequence and acknowledgement analysis of the whole thing. And then layer 5, or presentation layer, it shows all of the HTTP data from the page, HTTP code and stuff from the page. So what you're going to see down here is the address that was actually being, or that the data was being grabbed from. That address you'll see down there is where the data was being grabbed from. And this is the host right here, the host being chickpea.glitch.me, which is just the base URL of that address. And then it'll also show you a user agent being the browser that it was grabbed from, or that requested this information, I should say. And then the language, the decoding amount, and other stuff about it. And there will be more data in it sometimes, and sometimes these pages even retrieve full web code that you can look through and maybe even find some data that maybe you'll even find data in this web code that you can exploit for something to get into this server in some way, shape, or form as a user to it, or something along those lines. And at that point, there's a lot more HTTP and TCP traffic here. But I think, if memory serves me well, in this capture I didn't get much in the way of code. Okay, DNS request. SOC.js. Zone acknowledgement packet. So right now when I'm going through the packets here and trying to see if I can find any information about. Okay, let me see. I'm looking for any information about stuff that's actually on the site, like code found in certain pages of the site. So there's a great number of TCP packets. Yeah, so in this really quick look down all the packets, I'll teach you about some of the filters, or at least one of the display filters that you can get here on Wireshark. So HTTP, just type in HTTP on the top bar here, which is your filter bar, and you get all the HTTP packets. And then get chunk.js. Yeah, so it doesn't look like anything was shown here. But one thing that you can also do is if you type, I believe it's and TCP. You could do and as in word, and it'll give you HTTP and TCP packets. Packets with a protocol of HTTP and TCP. Okay, so you can also do HTTP. You can do also HTTP and DNS. Oh, so I see. Ten dot 0.2.15. So let me copy that address. 10.0.2.15. And if you do that, if you do and ip.source, which is ip.src or source, and double equals and any address, you can get only packets that are filtered out through that address. And it'll be cool. And so you can also do DST for only packets with the destination being something like 10.0.2.15. And doing that will give you only packets that are HTTP and go to that address. And I think with that being said, that's all that I want to do for today, because I don't want to make this video too long, and I also want to do more capture filters in another video. So for now, if you enjoyed this video, you can leave a like, subscribe, comment, and even share with your friends if you love the video. And next time I will do more about these capture filters in Wireshark, as well as in a future video, what I want to do is I want to show you how to. So if we go press this button up here to make a new capture and just clear all of this. What I had mentioned earlier is that you're going to okay, why am I doing that? So if I go to a page like Wireshark, you're gonna see a bunch of quick packets as well as TCP packets. And if I go to maybe download now and download the disk image, you're gonna also see a bunch of things being generated. And then if I go to, so if I type in a word, for instance, to this, you'll also see a bunch of traffic be generated. Yes, saz is the generic name for instrument in Turkish and Persian. But anyways, you'll see a bunch of traffic being generated, and most, if not all of that traffic is going to be in the form of some kind of TLS encryption. So like I mentioned earlier, this TLS encryption is all jumbled up, and if you really want to see what's in this TLS encrypted data, you have to have some kind of man in the middle or some kind of thing that records all the session keys and ends up decrypting all of them. And so in order to do that, there's a method that we're going to use, and in a future video I also want to cover how to do that, so that you too can do that sort of thing on your own if you need to. So just be on the lookout for those videos. And with that being said, this has been Matt talking about Wireshark, giving you an introduction to the software and some of the features that it has in it. And until next time, Matt out.